All right. So you guys, today we're going to actually just start diving into our new unit on supply and demand, like I told you before. This is going to be a common assessment unit in which everything that you do is going to be shared with Heritage, administrators, and the district. Do me a favor. Take out your notebooks. You're going to have to take a few notes on some of the things that we're going to go over. Ooh, pretty. All right, first things first, you'll notice that your essential question, this is going to be the question that you're going to be tested on at the very end of the unit, is up on the board. Is price gouging acceptable? So let's break this question out because I think a lot of people are confused by it. What do I mean by price? What is price? Kendall, what's price? Well, it's money, but can you be more specific? Yeah, it's a cost of a product, right? It's a cost of a product. Now, gouging is one of those tricky words. Gouging actually has two different definitions. If I was to dig my finger into Sarah with no H, that would be a gouge. I would be gouging her, right? There's another gouge, and that is called to overcharge someone or to try to swindle someone. Swindling is when you try to trick them out of their money. So this question is price gouging acceptable or is overcharging for a product acceptable? Does that make sense? You say no? Was that no? Okay. We're going to get to that. And I think it's good that you already have an initial response, and you should. It is an emotional reaction. But it's not as simple as you think. You know, it's areas of gray, and you might go, wait a second. I don't know about that. And that's a good thing. All right, so we're going to cover a couple things. First of all, this word economics, you guys do not freak out about this word. All it is a science. Yep, you're in a history class, and you're going to learn science. But it's a science of behavior. And it's when people study the buying habits of people, right? They look at what products they're buying. They're looking at how much they pay for it. They look at the demand of it, how many products are out there. And that's all they're doing, okay? So when you hear about economics, it's just about behavior. So don't freak out. Markets. Okay, I love markets. Oh, because markets are all around us. So markets are just products, right? Markets are nothing more than products that are for sale. For example, look around this room. Everything you see here is an individual market. Absolutely. Well, we're not selling you yet, Bree, but I believe that you are ownership of yourself, and if you want to go sell yourself off to do whatever, I say God bless you. Easy now. Okay? No. For work or for whatever. These tables, right? That's a market, right? The cloth in the back on that board, that's a market. These markers, that's a market. The whiteboard, market. Board, market. Speaker, market. Apple TV, market. Your notebook, market. Everything is a market. Just to make it really simple. Okay. Let's talk about an economy, and this is something you really need to know. So an economy is pretty simple. You have a producer. What does a producer do? Makes a product. He makes a product or a good. A product or a good. Who's the other person relative to an economy? You have producers and you have what? A consumer. I'm going to put consumers all the way over here. These are the people that buy. Yeah, it's a product. Product or good. I know, my handwriting is that of a serial killer. Okay, so normally, or what can happen in a lot of cases, is someone who produces a good, they will often try to sell it to the consumer, right? If the consumer decides to buy it, it comes over here and the exchange is money, okay? When the producer gets that money, they don't just take the money and do nothing with it. They actually try to create more product, which then more can be sold to the consumers, right? And more consumers can spend more money that go back to the producers, and then the producers are going to try to innovate to make, do you see what happens though? Are you lost, Nate? Okay, but it gets crazy, right? But then the producers, they might get more money and they might say, you know what? We're going to come out with a new product. And so they're going to reinvest that because they want that product to come back to the consumers. And they want the consumers to keep spending more money and buying more. I think a great example of this is Apple. Apple started off with the Macintosh, and they really built a reputation and a business on a Macintosh, the computer. But then they went into all different kinds of computers. Then they went into the iPod when it was holding like 500 songs. People were like, whoa, right? Then they went to the iPad. People were like, whoa. Then they went into the iPhones. People were like, oh. And now you guys can't live without Apple. But every time people bought things, they didn't sit complacent on just that one product. They were innovative, okay? And that's the key to this whole thing. This whole thing is called a free market. And that's what America is. America is a free market. And that basically means is that you can buy from who you want and people can sell what they want to you. There's a free exchange. It's a free exchange. Does this make sense? You okay, Sarah? You're not going to lose it. I love economics. When I start talking economics, I get all crazy inside. It just brings out something in me. It's like a beast. Okay? So a free market is a free exchange between two parties. Now, there is something that can get in the way of this free market. What can get in the way of the free market and prevent people from just buying and selling from each other? Anyone have any idea? Who's the evil up above that could dare ruin a free market? The government. Absolutely. Those jerks. Well, you know what? A lot of government officials think they are God, so I think you would be close. The government. How does the government end up ruining this? What can they do to actually stifle it, hold it back, or prevent it from really working? What do they create? Okay, they can ban things, right? And we see that happen, okay? I mean, if they ban like marijuana or cocaine, right, you're not allowed to buy that. That creates what we call a black market. That's an advanced class. We're not going to get into that today. But what do they create that would stop people from buying certain things? It's, when they ban something, they're creating what? Begins with an L, ends with a W. Yes, they create laws. They create laws. All right, so let's make this really, really simple on you. I'll make it really easy for you to understand. You guys see what is here? Guess what? You have it right here in school. And you guys go through it every single day and you don't even realize it. And you guys are part of a thriving economy that does all this stuff, including the laws. How many of you know Eric Estrada? You guys know where I'm going already? Okay. You see it, right? So, Eric Estrada sells candy, right, out of his locker. Okay? Now, listen, Eric's not a producer. He would be more in the middle of a distributor, right? Because he doesn't make the candy, he sells it. But still, he would be like a producer or a distributor. He sells it to the consumers. Who are the consumers? All of you, right? He gets money, right? You guys buy. He makes a profit, okay? There's no doubt. He wouldn't do it for free. He makes money off of it. When he makes that money, what does he do? He gets more, right? And then you guys buy more. Then he ends up getting different kinds. Now he gets chips and different kinds of candies. Uh-oh, innovation is happening. Oh, wait, that's a free market. It's an exchange between two parties. You come in and you say, oh, you know what? Eric has the candy. You have the money. I can trust you, so we can do this, okay? This is Eric. I'm just another student. I find more value in the candy than I do in the money, right, that he's charging. Eric finds more value in the money than he does in the product, okay? That's what a free market is. It's when you actually, it's perceived value. It doesn't matter how much someone charges you for something. It's based on what you perceive the value to be. Even if Eric was to sit there and charge $10 for a candy bar, right? A lot of you, I already saw it. Look at you right there. He was like, no. Even if you charge $10 for a candy bar, some people might see perceived value in that and be willing to pay that amount of money. Other people may not. Okay? Is this all starting to make sense? Yeah. Okay. Does everyone have this? Can I erase it? Yeah, that's why I said in the beginning. It's okay. We'll wait for you. Don't worry. No. We'll wait for you. You can take a picture. You want me in the picture? Okay. Good luck. Economics 101. Yeah, it's still recording. So what? You think I don't act like this in front of my other classes? I do the same exact. I'm doing the. Listen, I do this. Yeah. All right. Going to erase this, and we're going to move on. We're going to talk about supply and demand, okay? All right. This is not as complicated as people really tend to make it. It's actually very simple, but it's actually the basis of everything for economics. If you understand supply and demand, this question is going to be really easy to answer. If you understand supply and demand, economics is going to be a cakewalk. Okay. So supply. Very simply put, supply is the amount of product. So it's how much product does a company have? That's all it is. Okay? Then you have demand. How much do people want that product? I cannot tell you how important these two words are, not only when you're buying things, but even if you're a business person. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make who want to start off their own company is they'll come up with a product and they think it's a great idea, okay? But they're so blinded to the fact that they created a product that they think it's so great, but nobody's buying it. There's no demand. And so they will not let go of the idea to try to come up with a better idea. They will hold on to it and hold on to it. And they finally go broke and they lose everything. It's not a good thing, right? This is also really important because if you're shopping for something and if you see that a store or a car dealer has a lot of supply of a certain car, that means the demand is low and you can get a better deal. However, if you go to a car dealer and you want to get a Camaro and they have one on the lot, well, the supply is low, the demand is high, you're going to be paying for it. It's just basics, right? But again, it's all about perceived value. It doesn't mean that the car dealership is doing anything wrong. It's based on what you perceive the value to be. And if you think it's worth it, I say right on. If you don't, I say right on. Leave. Okay? Economists do something, and we actually graph out supply and demand. I'm going to kind of show you how to do this, but it's going to be shown to you in a little bit more depth in the videos that you're going to watch. Yes, I remember I said videos you're going to watch. See? Okay. All right. Have you guys ever seen a graph like this? And you better say yes, because I know you have math class. Okay, good deal. Ms. Vanisald will be very happy with you. Okay. On this side, we have the price. And down here, we have the products, or the product. No. Okay. And by the way, you don't have to put this part down because you're going to get it in your videos today, and I think it will show it much more cleaner and clearer than I do. So, let's say, for example, let's look at Eric Estrada example again, okay? If Eric starts selling his candy at $10, okay? Right? So Eric is going to make a lot of money, okay, if people buy. This is what we call the supply curve, okay? So the supply curve would start from where I graphed the amount of money, and it would come down, okay? Right? Now the Product is the demand for this, okay? So the demand for this is going to be really, really low, right? So it might be down here, okay? If we were to graph it and come up, right, you can see that there's a big gap, right? This is all a gap. That's not good. When that happens, you are going to have what is called a surplus, okay? And a surplus is when you have too much extra product. This is extra product. This is a bad thing. No company wants to have product that they cannot sell. Eric doesn't want to have a locker full of candy that he cannot sell. Does not make sense. But let's say if Eric started charging $2, right? Okay. The demand would go way up. Well, that's not good either. That's bad. Because now what you have is a shortage. And this is when there's not enough product available. When there's not enough product available. Welcome back. Can you do me a favor? Can you walk? Oh, you're right there. Sorry. That's when there's not enough product available. And that's not good either. Because you might be making some money, you might be making a little bit of profit, but you can actually make a lot more profit. And the fact is that you don't have enough product to fulfill all your customers. If Eric was charging a really, really low amount, he would have a ton of customers, but he might not have enough candy to fulfill all those orders, and then he's not making enough money. What you want to do is you want to find the sweet spot. Ooh, the sexy spot. Yeah. This is when economics starts getting hot, okay? I'm not going to lie. It does. What? $5? You're okay with $5? Okay, see, perceived value. I still wouldn't buy it. You want to find the spot in the middle. You want to find the spot where you're not holding on to a bunch of product, but you're not running out of product, and you're making enough money. This is called the equilibrium. And that's a good thing. You want that sweet spot, right? Where the demand is there, but it's not super high or really low, and you have product. It's going out, you're fulfilling the orders, you're not running short, and you don't have extra laying around. That's where you want to always adjust things to find that perfect spot. Does this make sense? Clear? Right? Who's a fan of supply and demand besides me? Good. Here's the last thing. Supply and demand, it affects everything. How many of you have been in the car with your parents and you're going to get gas and the first thing you do is they start complaining, why did gas go up 40 cents? Yeah, right? Well, there's a reason why. And it's all on supply and demand. Okay? So, for example, news affects prices. If there's a war in the Middle East where they produce a ton of oil, and if, like, the enemy or Al-Qaeda is in there burning all the oil, right, that's going up, well, listen, there's not going to be as much supply, and the demand is going to be really high. So what's going to happen? Yeah, the price of gas is going to rise. Well, if the war is over and all of a sudden the oil is flowing, baby, people are producing, well, wait, okay? Then the supply is going to be really, really high, and the demand is going to be lower because there's so much gas out there, so the price is going to lower. And so my advice to you is if your parents start complaining about the price of gas, don't do that to them because they will slap you, okay? Because they work really hard, and they get irritated, okay? Happened to a kid last year. She was in the car with her parents, and they were complaining about the price of gas, and she was like, well, you know, in the Middle East right now, and she started explaining like what's going on in Europe and the Middle East. Parents turned to mom, looked at her and said, shut up. Don't do that to your parents. But this will actually help you be a better consumer overall. This will help you be a better consumer. All right, so let me ask you a question. If I owned a bakery and a guy walked in and he was a Nazi and he had a swastika on his arm and he says, you know what? I want a cake. and I said, you know what? I don't like Nazis. I'm not going to make you a cake. I'm not going to sell you a cake. Do I have that right?
Yes. Well, you have right to refuse service.
I have a right to refuse.
But if you go under free market,
Well, we are a free market.
then you have the right.
Then I have the right. Okay, let me change it around. I'm a baker. Couple walks in, same-sex couple, they're going to get married, and I'm like, nope, not going to sell you a cake because I don't believe in gay marriage. It's against my religion. Do I have to sell them a cake? Okay. Government says yes.